Okay, let's get into this video reaction. This is Pastor versus Atheist at Capitol Hill, Apologia Studio. One of my fellow Calvinist brothers, Jeff Durbin, or rather Pastor Jeff Durbin. I'm going to be a pastor one day, maybe a college professor, maybe both. We'll see what happens. I'm Reformed as well. I'm Reformed Baptist, just like James White and Jeff Durbin. I am, however, premillennialist. They are postmillennialists, and we have good reasons for why we believe what we believe, but those are not salvation issues, so they won't go to hell because they don't believe in premillennialism, and I won't go to hell because I don't believe in postmillennialism. So that aside, let's get into this video.
Science.
Say that it was.
So you believe that? Well, I thought you said you believe in science.
I accept science.
So all science is based upon the principle of induction, that the future will be like the past. But you just said you don't know the future be like the past, so you just done away with all science.
Yes, induction. When you look at the definition of inductive reasoning or induction, it is observing patterns and then making conclusions based upon patterns that you have observed. Science is based on induction because science is the study of the past, basically. You look at phenomenon in patterns, and then you try and make predictions of the future, which is why science gives you a basis for knowing that something is going to happen. Example, I know that when I go upstairs and I lie down in my bed, I'm not going to float away. Why? Because science gives me that basis. But I have to have a basis for science, and that basis has to be the uniformity of nature. And I have to have a basis for the uniformity of nature. If the uniformity of nature is real, if we have uniformity in nature, then that necessitates a designer. That necessitates something that it's governing the uniformity. And that also necessitates that there is someone or something that made it uniform. If there's nothing, then, well, you're going to see how he refutes this atheist in a moment, because the atheist holds the position that there is no God, and if there is no God, there is no designer. If there's no designer, how do you explain the uniformity in nature? Well, we'll see.
No, I said I don't believe if somebody wants to reason that some force in motion will continue to operate as it has in the past, I will accept that as a premise, but observation will show us whether that's true or not.
So do you have confidence the future will be like the past?
Give me an example.
Well, for example, right now you're standing here. You don't believe right now that you're going to float away to the ceiling, do you?
No, I don't.
So you believe gravity is going to hold you down next 5 seconds like it always has?
Please stop using the word belief in reference to me. I'm not a believer.
Do you have confidence?
I would ask him, do you believe that? Do you believe that you're not a believer? He'd probably say, I know I'm not a believer, but yeah, I just try to, probably say that if I was talking to him, but yeah, let's continue.
I expect that gravity will continue to operate 5 minutes.
So okay, that's fine. So a better word than you have confidence that gravity will hold you down.
I have an expectation that it will.
So you have some confidence.
I could assign some confidence level.
Right.
To it.
So confidence is from the Latin. It means confide, with faith. So you are with faith with regard to gravity.
Well,
just playing word games here.
Yeah,
it's not a word game. It's how the word works. It's etymology of the word.
Expectation, and you wanted to apply some.
So you live by faith that the future will be like the past, but you don't know.
Yes, you can't know. You can't know. If you are living in a universe that's unguided, ungoverned, purposeless, time and chance acting on matter, you cannot know with any level of certainty that the future will be like the past. If everything is random, and right now, as you are probably sitting down watching this video with me, if everything is random, then the chair you're sitting on can randomly change its solid form and turn into a liquid form and turns into water. There's nothing that you can say to me that can refute that or try to deny that. If everything is random, then all of a sudden, your whole house can become air. Your whole house can become water. You could become air. You could become water. You could disappear. If everything is random and we have to live in a universe where it's just time and chance acting on matter, nothing can be known about the future, then one, you've thrown out science, because science is based on induction that the future will be like the past, and also you have thrown out any confidence or faith or assurance that when you go to your bed tonight, you're not going to wake up floating in the air. You have no basis for science. The scientific method is based upon, first of all, observation. And this observation of patterns. It's based on induction, that the future will be like the past. If you believe in a universe that is just time and chance acting on matter, you have thrown out science. You have no basis for science without God.
You do live by faith. Okay. So you mentioned reason and logic a moment ago, correct?
Evidence. Evidence is very important.
Well, all evidence is based upon induction and logic.
True.
Correct? Induction and logic. All evidence requires induction and logic, that the future will be like the past, and that the laws of logic are immaterial, universal, that they are invariant, they're unchanging. So I take it that you're an atheist.
I am an atheist.
Okay.
But about the invariance of the physical laws, that may not be the case. There's some evidence that some physical laws may have changed.
So you don't. So you've done away with all science then, because science is dependent upon induction.
No, I'm repeating what some scientists have investigated and some
So you
findings that they.
Look at this woman over here. Look at her. She's just lost, man. She's just lost. I mean, she's listening to the refutation of her worldview, and she's just sticking to her worldview. Well, ultimately, God is the one who changes our hearts and makes us into believers, brings us from spiritual death to spiritual life. Ultimately, it's God, but I'm just saying, man, it's sad. It's sad to see these things. It's sad that atheism and atheists can believe such nonsense. But it's the case. It is the case. It is the reality. We just have to accept it and then try to refute it. Well, not try to. It's very easy to refute atheism. We have to just observe it and refute it. Accept that it is a reality and refute it, so that those who are in darkness can come into the light by God's grace.
So you don't know the future will be like the past.
I don't know that the future will.
Fantastic.
There it is. Science is out the window. I know the future will be like the past. If you're an atheist and you say that you know the future will be like the past, you don't have a basis for that. In a universe that's time and chance acting on matter, you don't have a basis for that. You don't. So I love that this atheist right here is honest. This is an honest atheist right here. He said that he does not know that the future will be like the past, hence throwing out all science. So he can't appeal to science no more. He can't. Science is out the window.
So you've done away with all science according to your worldview. Science is dependent upon induction. You can talk to Bertrand Russell. Obviously, he's dead now. You can read his books, Problems in Philosophy. David Hume, Scottish skeptic. All science is based upon induction. You just did away with it.
The science of your faith and belief in God. What's the science of?
Sure, I can explain to you how the
science.
Well, I'll explain.
Resurrection from the dead.
Well,
the science of healing lepers with...
Sir, you don't have any problem with lepers being healed or with people rising from the dead. You just said you don't know the future will be like the past. So in your universe, anything is possible.
Right. If you don't know that the future will be like the past, you don't know if tomorrow somebody will rise from the dead. I know tomorrow nobody will rise from the dead. I know that. I know that so far as God keeps the universe in the form that it is in, things will stay the same. So I know that gravity will act the same 5 minutes from now because God upholds all things after the word of his power. In him all things hold together. I know, and my basis is God. What's your basis? You don't have one. You don't. Atheism has no basis for this thing. For these things, man. None. Man, I'm tired. I'm here trying to drink some coffee to fight it, but man, it's not working. I'm tired. It's after 12 a.m., man, and I didn't want to go to bed because I gotta study some more. But man, I'm tired. I'm not gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna make it.
You have no basis to complain about the Christian worldview and people rising from the dead because in your worldview, anything's possible. In my worldview, people rising from the dead is a strange thing because God is a sovereign God who imposes uniformity upon creation. Science makes sense in my worldview, not in yours.
God imposes uniformity upon creation. I love it. I love it. We have a basis for science.
So back to logic. On what basis as an atheist, I imagine you're a materialist, you believe all that exists is the material universe. On what basis are you appealing to...
He just said yes. I told you guys. If you look at the video that came before this one, I was responding to a lady who made a comment on my previous video that atheism does not equal naturalism, that atheism does not equal materialism, and I was saying that all atheists don't think the same, so I was talking about those atheists who think that way. Atheism is not monolithic, so I was saying who the cap fits, let them wear it. There are atheists who are naturalistic materialists, and if you're a naturalistic materialist, there are a lot of problems that come with that. It's a self-refuting position. Self-refuting.
To immaterial universal laws like laws of logic, according to your worldview, on what basis?
The fact that they work.
So your answer...
Pragmatism. Pragmatism. That's not a good answer.
Answer as an atheist is just cuz? What if I did that to you? Why do you believe in God? Just cuz. Would you accept that?
No.
Yeah, I believe in God because it all works for me. That's a psychological reason for belief in God. It works for me. It feels good. It makes things right. It looks good. It works. It works. That's a psychological reason for believing in God, and I recommend that none of you Christians believe in God because of a psychological reason. You believe in God because of philosophical reasons, because it's consistent, because it is logical, and because it has supporting evidence. Don't believe in Christianity because of comfort or it makes you feel good. Don't believe in Christianity because of sociological reasons, just because your family believed in God, just because your society believed in God, just because people around you believed in God, just because your culture believed in God. You believe in God because of philosophical reasons. And you don't believe in God because of religious reasons, because a pastor told you, a priest told you, a pope told you, an imam told you. You believe in God because of philosophical reasons. That's my recommendation, and that is the reason why I believe in God, because it's consistent, because it's logical, and because it's supported by the evidence. That's the reason you believe in God. This guy said he believes in the laws of logic because they work. Pragmatism, psychological reason. Nah. Atheism is false, man. Because it's the proposition that there is no God. That is what the etymology of the word means. There is no God. And that's false, therefore atheism is false.
That's not what I said.
You said
words in my mouth.
They just work. Just cuz?
It's observable.
What's observable? Laws of logic?
Effective.
Where have you seen a law of logic, sir?
What color is it? What does it smell like?
It's observable that
What color is the law of non-contradiction? What does it look like? What does it smell like? Is it material? Oh man, materialistic, naturalistic, materialistic atheists. Man, y'all need to stop it. Just stop it.
call the law of gravity works.
We're talking not about you. We're not talking about the physical laws like gravity. We were talking about the laws of logic, which are conceptual in nature. So
This is all sophistry.
no, sir, it's not sophistry. You invoked reason.
I can observe that gravity.
Sir, that's a physical law. We're talking about not sophistry. You invoked reason.
Yes.
You invoked it. So I'm asking you, according to your atheistic perspective, how do you justify an appeal to immaterial, universal, unchanging laws like the laws of logic? I have an answer from my worldview, and I'm asking an atheist who invoked reason.
I want evidence. And
Sir, in order to believe evidence is meaningful, laws of logic have to be meaningful and they must exist. So help me to understand from an atheistic perspective how you justify appeals to universal laws like laws of logic.
I justify the appeal to universal laws like, well, I don't know if logic is even universal, but
Wait, so you gotta help me there. Did
What?
you just
Logic? You don't know if logic is universal? What?
say that you don't believe that logic is universal?
I want you to define what you mean by universal.
Universal would be true at all times, everywhere. So is a law of non-contradiction necessary in Iceland and here in Oklahoma right now?
The laws of logic are conventions of the mind, right? They're conventional. They're used by the mind. Laws of logic are immaterial. Laws of logic are universal, and laws of logic are immutable. They are unchanging. These are all qualities of God. Laws of logic are eternal because they are true regardless of the existence of matter. Regardless of the existence of our minds, they are true. They remain true. They are unchanging. They are universal. They are immutable. They're unchanging, and they're everywhere. They're true at all times and all places. Conventions of a mind. Before we all existed, laws of logic existed. Therefore, a mind existed, and that mind is the mind of God. Hence, God existed before time began and still exists now. If you don't believe in God, you don't have a basis for logic, don't have a basis for reason, because what you're saying is this: our reason, our rationality came by natural selection, random, time and chance acting on matter. You have no basis or justification for your appeal to laws of logic. None, as an atheist. Nada.
Now?
Explain the law of non-contradiction.
Sir, you invoked reason, and the very basis of reason would be the law of non-contradiction as a start, right? The law of non-contradiction would be the very foundation of the laws of logic or reason. Yeah, it cannot be A. Something cannot be A and not A at the same time and in the same way, right? So the law of non-contradiction forms the very basis of reason. So I'm asking you if that law of non-contradiction is true in Iceland and in Oklahoma City.
That sounds reasonable. I'll accept that.
According to an atheistic perspective, where you believe you evolved from back
using that term.
well, your perspective is that human beings evolved from fish to ultimately down the line philosophers.
Yes, there is physical evidence.
So your ancestors were bacteria.
You know what I always wondered? Why aren't there any transitional fossils? Why? Why haven't we ever seen a fossil in between their transition from being one species into another species? Since y'all believe that we all came from apes, right? Obviously. why don't we find any transitional fossils of us gradually, step by step, becoming apes? And since y'all believe, I gotta say belief because y'all have no evidence for this stuff, man. This is blind faith. How come we don't have any transitional fossils indicating to us of a sea creature in transition to becoming a land creature? Why don't we have any fossils for that? That's a belief, man. That's a belief without, that's blind faith. No evidence, yet it's believed. No evidence, no proof. As a matter of fact, it would have to be proof because a transitional fossil is proof. It's something that can be shown. You have no proof. All you have are theories, and no evidence for the theories. We're supposed to just take it and say, hey, I used to be a fish, and then an ape, and now I'm a human being. And black people are less evolved because we resemble apes more than white people. It's true. So am I supposed to think of myself as less than a white man? Or less than someone who has a lighter skin color because I evolved from an ape? Oh, man. Fortunately for me, I don't believe that stuff. That's stupid. That's nonsense. That's just false, man. Nah.
There is physical evidence that happened.
Sir, in order to have evidence, you have to have science. You've thrown that away. In order to have evidence, you have to have reason. You've thrown that away.
That's not true.
So I'm asking you, on what basis ought the descendant of fish, me and you, appeal to universal laws like the law of non-contradiction? If what's happening in your brain right now is simple neurological responses and chemical reactions, why is that necessary for me to hold to what's happening in your brain? You and I don't share the same brain, sir, and what you have are chemical responses happening right now. As an atheist, that's not my worldview. That's all that's fundamentally going on. So I'm asking an atheist who believes he's a descendant of bacteria why he believes the laws of logic are necessary.
I accept some laws of logic because the results of scientific investigation are pragmatic, they're empirical,
You understand you just said something that contradicted pragmatic and empirical?
Yes.
So is it merely conventional and that it works, or is it objective? Is the laws of logic you're appealing to now, are they objective? Are they true outside of your own experience, or is it just something human beings created?
I'm not certain about that. There might be something that human beings created.
Okay, so let's say that you have a tribe somewhere in the world.
Someone commented on my video. Well, I don't even remember at this point. Did he say that the laws of logic were created? No, he didn't say it. No, he didn't say that. He did. Said something along the lines of discovered and shared by our minds. Yeah. This guy said we created them, which then means that they are subjective. Yeah, they're subjective if they were created. They're subjective and they are arbitrary, which means that the opposite could have been true. We could have created laws of logic that contradict the ones that are here now, and there is no standard for calling them wrong because we invented them. Nah. We didn't invent laws of logic. They always existed because they come from the mind of God, and without God, you have no basis for the laws of logic. No justification for your appeal to the laws of logic either. So, yeah, let's see how this goes.
They have a different convention of laws of logic, and they say you can go ahead and contradict yourself. Is it okay to do that?
Give me an example. I don't understand what
Well,
you're saying.
so you're the descendant of bacteria, I'm the descendant of bacteria, right? But let's say that there's a different tribe of descendants of bacteria somewhere in the world, and they create their own system of laws of logic where they say, go ahead and contradict yourself. That's perfectly acceptable. Is that okay?
They think it is. Christians, for instance.
Is it reasonable for that tribe to say that?
I don't think it's reasonable.
So laws of logic are objective. It's not merely conventional. We don't just make it up. So my question to you is this. According to an atheistic materialist worldview, where are the laws of logic? Where can I find them?
Yeah, what color are they?
They're the product of our mind's function.
So human beings just...
Product of our mind's function. See, now that's a problem because all of us have different brains, and all of us, according to you atheists, are highly evolved protoplasm. From bacteria to fish to apes and now to philosophers. Our brains are not the same, so our function of the laws of logic being a function of the brain is rather one chemical reaction leading to another chemical reaction. Brains fizzing. Laws of logic. All of us having different brains, but yet we're all coming up with the same laws of logic. What if 1 out of 100 people came up with a different law of logic because their brain is fizzing differently than all the other 99? Upon what basis is the 1 out of the 100 wrong? Is it the logical fallacy of argumentum ad populum, that the majority is the definer of what is right and what's wrong? Or are we going to say, hey, man, you have a brain, and we all have a brain, and all we are just fish who became philosophers, bacteria who evolved, and now we're just highly evolved bacteria, and all of us are just fizzing one chemical reaction to another chemical reaction in our brain. If your brain fizzed a different law of logic, all power to you, man. Our brains fizz a different law of logic, all power to us. Nobody's wrong, nobody's right. You see how stupid I sounded? Do you hear how stupid I sound? That's atheism.
Let's make them up.
Yes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's some atheists. I gotta make that qualifier. Not all atheists, some. Because ain't none of you gonna come comment on this video and say, hey, you're wrong for saying that because atheists don't believe that or don't think that way. Yes, some atheists do, but not all. Some, but not all. Let me put that out there right now so y'all don't misrepresent what I'm saying.
Okay, so why are you criticizing other bags of biological stuff for what they chemically fizz? If human beings just make it up, as you say, then your worldview is now this. Human beings...
Bags of biological stuff. Wow.
Invent
He didn't even disagree with that. Look at that.
logic and just get creative. There is no basis to believe in the uniformity in nature, so there's no more science. And so you have no basis for reason or for science, according to an atheistic perspective. So on what basis then are you here complaining about anything ethically at all?
You don't have a right to legislate your religion.
As a bag of biological stuff?
Yes.
So I'm the descendant of bacteria, and you're telling me what I ought not do in this purposeless universe.
That's correct.
Well, you're doing the same thing.
No, I don't believe that. I don't share your worldview. I believe in a transcendent God whose character is the very basis of justice and morality. You guys believe that you're descendants of fish in a purposeless universe.
Okay.
That is so sad, man.
So on what basis are you complaining about anything ethically at all? Is
We
it
assert that we have rights in the Constitution.
is it absolutely
These
wrong?
are rights, and you do not have a right to enforce your religion through legislation.
Who says? You're the descendant. Sir, no, the Constitution does not say that.
Yes, it does.
The Constitution makes no claim that there should be no God in states.
It sure as hell does.
No, it does not.
The Establishment Clause
No.
says
What was the Establishment Clause about?
that
What was the context
the
of it?
government shall not endorse any religion. over-
No, that is absolutely not the context.
No, sir, you're wrong.
The colonies, no, you guys don't know your history. The colonies, when that was established, had all established in their own states, their own denominations. They invoked the name of the triune God of Scripture. What they were saying when they talked about no establishment of religion is that Congress shall not make an establishment of religion like the Church of England, the Church of Scotland, but it had nothing to do with keeping God out of states. You don't know your history. Back to my question, why are you complaining about anything ethically at all? You're the result of evolutionary processes that didn't have you in mind. And here you are decrying things ethically when you believe there's no absolutes.
This guy thinks he's very clever.
You don't believe there's any absolutes, sir.
I accept that the Constitution is the absolute law of the land.
So,
And the Constitution, as interpreted by the Supreme Court,
so the Supreme Court once interpreted that
Slavery. Here we go.
blacks were not persons, they were property. You agree?
Were they right when they when they were they right when they made those laws?
With them?
I don't agree with them.
Why?
Why?
Because
On what basis?
blacks are human beings.
So human beings have inherent value and rights?
Under the Constitution, they have.
So all human beings or some human beings?
That's something that's been debated in the courts. For example, do immigrants or do alien nationals in our borders
No,
have constitutional
we're not asking about particular
No,
rights in a
you're
state.
trying-
I'm asking about human beings.
You're
Do they?
trying to define zygotes as human beings, and I don't accept that.
Well, if you accept science, as you said you did, then you'd have to accept that biologically speaking.
Well, in the abortion issue, if you're going to be honest and agree with the science about this, life begins at conception, which means that no matter what time a woman has an abortion, she is participating in murder. She is paying someone to murder her child. And even though that child wasn't born, that woman is still a mother. She's a mother of a dead child. And it's sad, but it's true.
Speaking from the moment of conception has all the biological components of human being. The only difference is a difference of degree. Size, level of development, environment, and degree of dependence. So I'm asking you, what would your argument be with those people a long time ago that said such wicked things like black people are not persons, they're property? What would your argument be with them?
My argument would be that they are persons because they are biologically just like everyone else.
Thank you. Did you hear what you just said?
Yes.
It's a pro-life argument.
Thank you for that pro-life argument.
It's not a pro-life
You just said they are persons because they're biologically the same as all of us.
Just like the babies in the womb.
At the moment of conception, that is precisely what happens, sir. I mean this with all the love and respect to you I can. Your worldview has collapsed. You need Christ. Criticize another bag of biological stuff
Yes, I can.
for contradictions when you gave up reason.
I did not give up reason.
So then produce.
Strawman argument.
So then produce. There's nothing wrong with strongman arguments in his worldview. In my worldview, they're a problem. In an atheistic perspective, you said that human beings create logic. They just invent it. So right now, I can invent my own version of logic that contradicts yours, and you have no basis to argue.
You can create your own system, but my
Is it
argument
true?
My argument is
It's all meaningless in your worldview. All of it.
going to be based on the Constitution and the Supreme Court decision, Roe v. Wade.
So your position is that the Constitution is absolute.
It's the absolute law of the land.
But is it objectively true and absolute?
objectively true?
Is it objective? Is it true outside of my experience, your experience? Is it true anyways?
It's as true as any law is.
So fantastic. What's the Constitution teach us about life? Every person having the right to what? Life, liberty, and what?
Pursuit of happiness.
Very good. So does the human being in the womb have the right to life? Your standard is the Constitution.
Well, my standard is that a woman has the right to choose whether to carry her pregnancy to term.
Okay, so there's a lot of women examples, and this is, I know you and I would agree this is evil. Together we would be unified in this. There's a lot of women who have drowned their children in the bathtub at 2 years old. One woman drove her children into the lake when they were 5 and 6 years old, right? She made a choice with her own body and her own property. I don't want to support these kids anymore. Why is it wrong to murder their children in that way?
It's wrong because they have rights as defined by the Constitution.
Rights as defined by the Constitution, they have a right to life? Because they're human?
Yes.
Thank you for that pro-life argument.
And another straw.
Sir, step over to this side. You realize you're in the image of God?
Oh man. It takes a lot of intelligence to be able to argue like that. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Jeff Durbin, if you're watching this, my man, thank you for all that you do, all that you continue to do. And I know it's all by the grace of God and the power of God and the hand of God behind all of it, but I can still thank you personally. Thank you, man. And I thank the Lord for you, man. I thank the Lord for you. Yeah, these videos are really helping a lot of people. Thank you. And I hope that you allow me to use this on my channel. If you find my channel and see this video, I hope you don't give me a copyright strike or something. I don't see why you would, but if you do, I hope you don't. Yeah. Anyways, let's just play a little bit more of this and then conclude this video. All right, let's continue.
You know the God that I'm talking about. The problem here is sin. It's not a problem of pro-choice versus pro-life.
Romans chapter 1, suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. That's what it is. That's why I start with God. You, the atheist, you are suppressing the truth in your unrighteousness. You know that God exists because you live as though he does, but you say he doesn't because you claim you don't believe in him. You don't exist. God exists. Atheists don't exist. The Bible says, even though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks, but they became futile in their speculations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for an image in the form of corruptible man, and of birds, four-footed animals, four-footed creatures, etc., etc., etc. Verse 19, for since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. Romans chapter 1, verse 19 and 20. You don't have no excuse. You don't have any excuse. None. You know God exists. You're just suppressing it in your unrighteousness. And in this case, your unrighteousness is atheism. Because look at this. Look at this. Look at what your worldview leads to. Look at what your worldview leads to. Look at the absurdity. Look at the untenability, the indefensibility of this position. But you still hold to it. All the ramifications that it leads to. All the logical conclusions that it leads to. And yet you still hold to it. Talk about believing foolishness, man.
Sin is simply your concept. There's no objective.
Sir, you've given up. Sir, you gave up objective reality 30 minutes ago.
No, I didn't.
You're borrowing from my worldview to make sense of yours.
yes, I will make sense of the world in my terms, as apparently you will.
But
too.
sir,
I demand evidence.
you're the no, sir. You
demand
gave up evidence. You gave up appeals to evidence when you gave up
I did
science.
not give up evidence.
Sir, you don't even know the future will be like the past.
It's huge.
You don't even know the future will be like the past. You said you don't know. All evidence is dependent upon uniformity, which you said you don't even know if it's uniform.
Explain that.
Sure.
Yeah, gonna have to explain it again. All right, so this ends the video. Thank you, Jeff Durbin. You are a blessing from the Lord. Keep up the good work, man. I'll keep you in my prayers. Keep me in yours as well if you see my video. God bless you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And for all you atheists out there, I'm sorry if I sound condescending. I'm a work in progress. Hopefully one day I will not sound condescending anymore by God's grace. He's working on me, man. He's working on me. I don't want to sound condescending, but my personality comes out that way when I'm talking about things I disagree with. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please accept my apology. And if you don't, I'm sorry you don't. Let's end this here, and you all have a good night. Yes. Maximize this. To all you atheists out there, continue commenting, continue responding to my videos, and I'm going to read your comments, and I'm going to respond to your comments if I see the necessity of responding to them. Thank you so much again for watching my videos. I had no idea that any atheist would be watching my video, but you guys have, and I thank you for that. Keep commenting and keep challenging my position. I welcome it. I'm going to be a pastor one day, maybe a professor of theology, maybe both, and interacting with you guys is going to be a part of my ministry, and it's going to be a part of what I do as a pastor and as a professor. So it's good that you are interacting back, and please continue to do so. You all have a good night. God bless you. You know, you don't believe in God, but I do, so God bless you. Have a good one.